everyone. Welcome back. We're diving deep into the Power Platform today.
Always exciting.
And we're going to help you make sense of it all. Using something called the M.I.N.D framework.
That's right.
It's like a roadmap to building a really strong Power Platform team.
Yeah, setting you up for success.
And get this framework comes straight from Ricardo Guerrero.
Oh, yeah. Ricardo, he's great.
He's a Microsoft Power Apps MVP down in Mexico.
Yeah, a real expert.
So you know this stuff is top-notch.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so M.I.N.D, break it down for us.
So it all begins with 3 core strategic objectives.
Okay.
We're talking innovation and adaptability, specialization and collaboration, and talent development.
Wow, 3 big goals right there.
That's right.
Let's unpack those a little bit. Sure. Like, what does it actually mean to be innovative and adaptable?
Right.
When we're talking Power Platform.
Well, think of it like this. The tech world is constantly changing.
It's moving fast.
Yeah, you got to keep up with the latest trends.
And be ready to pivot when things change.
Yeah.
Always be on the lookout for new ways to use the platform.
So it's like being flexible.
Exactly. That's innovation and adaptability.
Makes sense. Because what works today might be old news tomorrow.
It's true.
But it's not just about keeping up with the new stuff, right?
No, it's not just about that.
You also need to make sure your team actually has the right skills to make things happen.
Exactly. That's where specialization and collaboration comes in.
Okay, so each team member needs to have their own area of expertise.
Right. Their own thing that they're good at.
Right. Whether it's building apps,
Yeah.
automating tasks, or wrangling data. But they can't just work in silos, right?
No, absolutely not. They got to work together.
They need to collaborate, share their knowledge.
Exactly. That's how you build truly great solutions.
So like a well-oiled machine,
That's it.
each part has its own function,
Yeah.
but they all work together.
Towards a common goal. Exactly.
Got it.
Right. So specialization without collaboration is like having all the tools, but not knowing how to use them.
That's a great way to put it.
And of course, you need to keep sharpening those tools.
Right, always sharpening.
Which brings us to talent development.
Yeah, investing in your team.
So you got to encourage them to get certified.
Yeah.
Learn new skills, stay ahead of the game.
Stay ahead of the curve, exactly.
Because this Power Platform, it never stops evolving.
It keeps on going.
So continuous learning, it's key.
It's essential.
It's like sending your team to Power Platform boot camp.
Like a training montage.
Yeah, they come back stronger.
Stronger, faster.
And ready to tackle any challenge.
That's the goal.
So M.I.N.D, it's definitely thinking big picture.
Oh, absolutely.
But it also gets into the nuts and bolts of how to actually build a team, right?
Yeah, it gets into the nitty-gritty.
Okay, and that's where these 2 main operational areas come in.
Right.
Low code and pro code.
The dynamic duo.
The classic divide.
Right.
But M.I.N.D isn't about picking sides, is it?
No, not at all.
It's about understanding that both of these are important.
Exactly, and actually separating them.
Really?
Yeah, it actually leads to better results.
Interesting.
It's about specializing. Our source material actually talks about high specialization of each tool.
Okay.
And a specialized approach for an optimal experience.
So it's like low code and pro code working together in perfect harmony.
That's it.
Each playing to their strengths.
Yeah.
And this results in better quality, continuous improvement, and a team that can really scale.
You got it. And this brings us to one of the most exciting parts of M.I.N.D.
Okay.
The specific roles within each area.
Now, full disclosure, when I first saw the list of roles, I was a little overwhelmed.
Oh, yeah, it's a long list.
But I have a feeling we're going to break it all down.
We're going to make it crystal clear.
Awesome. All right.
Already.
Let's start with the low code side.
Okay, let's do it.
So we've got app makers,
Yes.
automation makers, data makers, co-pilot makers, and web makers.
All the makers.
That's a lot of makers.
It is. It is.
Where do we even begin?
Well, let's start with something they all have in common.
Okay.
And that's Dataverse.
Dataverse, okay.
It's the foundation.
So they all need to be fluent in Dataverse.
That's right. It's like their secret weapon.
Interesting. So Dataverse is like the universal language of the low-code world.
I like that. Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm really curious about app makers.
All right.
What exactly do they do?
Well, they're like the architects of user-friendly applications. They take Power Apps and they build those visually appealing and functional apps we all use.
Right.
They need to understand user experience.
Okay.
And make things easy and enjoyable to use.
So they need technical skills and creativity.
Yeah, the blend.
It's not just coding, it's designing an experience.
That's right.
Now, if app makers are the architects, would it be fair to say that automation makers are like the efficiency experts?
I like that.
They're making things run smoother?
They're the masters of Power Automate. They can automate just about anything.
Really?
From sending emails to complex business processes.
Wow.
They streamline those repetitive tasks and free everyone else up to focus on the bigger picture.
That's pretty powerful.
It is.
All right, what about data makers?
Data makers, they're the data whisperers.
What does that mean?
They dive deep into the data.
Okay.
Using tools like Dataverse and Power BI. And they uncover those hidden patterns and trends.
So they're like data detectives.
Yeah.
Causing mysteries with charts and spreadsheets.
Exactly.
I can see why they'd be valuable to any team.
Definitely.
Okay, now there's a role that sounds especially intriguing.
Okay.
Co-pilot makers.
Yes, the newest kids on the block.
What do they do?
They are all about AI-powered development.
Okay, so what does that mean in practice?
So they're using tools like Copilot Studio and Azure AI services to build intelligent applications. That can do some pretty amazing things.
Like what?
Like understanding natural language, learning from data, even predicting future outcomes.
Whoa, hold on. Predicting future outcomes.
I know, right?
That sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It does, but it's real.
So co-pilot makers are really pushing the boundaries.
They are. They're the pioneers.
That's an exciting field to be in.
It is. It is.
All right, so we've covered app makers, automation makers, data makers, and co-pilot makers.
That's right.
That leaves us with web makers.
Right.
What do they bring to the table?
They're the storytellers.
Yeah.
They use Power Pages to create those beautiful and engaging websites.
So they're showcasing information, products, services.
Exactly. They're all about the visuals, the content, and creating an experience that's informative and captivating.
So they're like the digital marketers of the low-code world.
I like that. Yeah.
It's amazing how each of these low-code roles brings something different.
It is. It's a diverse team.
Now, before we move on to the pro-code side of things,
okay,
I want to circle back to something you mentioned before.
Sure.
Certifications.
Yes. Important.
Our source material actually mentions specific certifications.
It does.
Like the PL100 and PL500.
Yes, those are valuable.
They can really boost your credibility, show off your expertise.
Show that you know your stuff.
Yeah, it's like a stamp of approval from the Power Platform gods themselves.
Exactly.
And for those just starting out, it's a great way to stand out from the crowd.
It's sure serious.
Yeah, so if you're thinking about a career in low code,
yeah,
definitely look into those certifications.
Good advice.
All right, are you ready to explore the pro code side of things?
Let's do it.
Let's meet those code warriors.
I'm ready when you are. Okay, so we're talking pro code now.
All right, let's meet these code masters.
Yeah, so first up, we've got PCF devs.
PCF devs, right?
They're the ones building those custom components.
Okay.
They use the Power Apps component framework to build these reusable code components that, really boost the functionality of Power Apps.
So they're like creating building blocks that other developers can use.
Exactly.
To build even more awesome apps.
Is that the goal?
Sounds pretty powerful.
It is. It is.
So they need to know like TypeScript, React, JavaScript, all that.
Oh, yeah. They're fluent in all those languages. Building really sophisticated user interfaces and interactions.
So they're the ones who make those really slick custom features you see.
Yeah, the stuff that makes you go, whoa, how do they do that?
Exactly. Okay,
so up next we have CLI devs.
CLI devs, okay.
They're like the command line ninjas.
Ninjas, nice.
They live in the terminal.
The terminal, right.
Yeah, using tools like the Power Platform, CLI, Azure CLI, Git, PowerShell, all to automate tasks, manage deployments.
So they're like the puppet masters.
Yeah, I like that.
Pulling the strings behind the scenes.
Keeping everything running smoothly.
Essential, but maybe not as flashy as building custom components, right?
True, but they're crucial.
Right, of course, got to have them.
All right, next up, ALM devs.
ALM devs.
They're the guardians of the development lifecycle.
Okay. Break that down for me, ALM.
Yeah, so ALM stands for Application Lifecycle Management.
Right, of course.
It's all about managing that whole process, from the initial planning to the deployment and everything in between.
Okay, so they're making sure that the development process is organized, efficient, following best practices.
That's it.
So they're like the project managers of the coding world.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
Lots of organization, attention to detail.
Absolutely, not for the faint of heart.
Okay, who's next on our pro code roster?
So next we have agent devs.
Agent devs, all right.
They're the pioneers of conversational AI.
So we're talking chatbots, virtual assistants.
That's right.
The things that are slowly taking over the world.
Got it.
So agent devs are building those intelligent agents that can understand natural language, learn from data.
All of that.
And hold conversations.
Have meaningful conversations, yeah.
Wow, it's crazy how far chatbots have come.
I know, right? They used to be so clunky.
But now, thanks to agent devs, they're getting really sophisticated.
Oh, yeah, they're changing the way we interact with technology.
Pretty mind-blowing.
It is.
Okay, we've covered PCF devs, CLI devs, ALM devs, and agent devs.
We have.
That leaves us with one last pro code role.
All right, last but not least.
Plugin devs.
Plugin devs, yes.
What's their specialty?
They're the masters of extensibility.
Extensibility, okay.
So they're using the .NET framework and C# to build plugins that extend the functionality of Dataverse.
So they're digging deep into Dataverse.
That's right.
Customizing it to fit specific needs.
Exactly.
They must need a really deep understanding of Dataverse.
They do.
And .NET framework.
Both of them.
Not an entry-level position.
No, not really.
Now, before we move on, you mentioned earlier that Dataverse and Power Automate are like a common language for pro-code devs.
Yes, they are.
Could you expand on that a little?
Sure. So even though these pro-code roles are all different, they often need to work together to build these complex solutions.
Right.
And Dataverse and Power Automate are like the bridge between them.
Okay.
It allows them to communicate, work together seamlessly.
So it's like they're all speaking different dialects of the same language.
I like that, yeah.
They might have their own jargon. But they can still understand each other.
Because they have that common foundation.
And that brings us back to one of the key takeaways from M.I.N.D, right?
It does.
It's about specialization, A&D collaboration.
It's both.
Fostering that team environment where everyone contributes their own unique skills.
Exactly.
While still working towards a shared goal.
That's the key.
We've talked a lot about the low-code and pro-code roles.
We have.
But we can't forget about the unsung heroes.
Oh, absolutely not.
The administrative roles.
The backbone of it all.
They're the ones that provide the foundation for everything else to succeed.
They are. They set the strategy. Define the governance, manage the resources.
So they're like the glue that holds it all together.
That's it. The conductors of the orchestra.
And we're talking about roles like practice lead.
Yes.
Architecture and governance lead. Commercial lead. Product owner. Training and development lead. Solutions architect. Functional consultant.
It's a long list.
Wow, that is a lot.
It is.
Can we do a quick overview of what these roles actually entail?
Sure.
Like, what does a practice lead actually do?
Okay, so the practice lead, they're like the captain of the ship.
Okay.
They're responsible for the overall strategy, the direction of the Power Platform practice within an organization.
All right, so they're setting the goals, the roadmap.
Exactly. Making sure the team has everything they need to be successful.
Okay, what about the architecture and governance lead?
All right, so they're the ones making sure the Power Platform is being used safely, securely, and in a compliant way.
So they're establishing the rules, the guidelines.
That's right.
Making sure the data is protected. The platform integrates smoothly with other systems.
It all works together.
So they're like the rule makers, keeping everyone in line.
I like that analogy, yeah.
Making sure no one gets into trouble.
All right, now the commercial lead.
Okay.
They're all about the business side of things.
Okay, so they're bringing in the clients.
Yeah, they're identifying new opportunities for Power Platform.
All right.
Building those relationships, negotiating contracts.
So they're the deal makers, the rainmakers.
That's it.
Got it.
Now the product owner.
Yeah.
They're a little different.
Okay.
They're the voice of the customer.
Okay.
Making sure those solutions being developed are actually meeting the needs of the users.
So they're working with the developers.
They are.
Defining requirements, prioritizing features, making sure the final product is actually valuable.
That's their goal.
So they're like the advocates for the end users.
That's a good way to put it.
All right, and then we have the training and development lead.
Training and development, yeah.
They're focused on, well, training and development.
That's right, making sure the team has the skills they need.
So developing training programs, workshops, mentoring team members.
All of that.
They're like the educators.
I like that, the educators.
Empowering the team with knowledge.
Exactly.
All right, what about the solutions architect?
So the solutions architect, they're more on the technical side.
Okay.
They're designing the solutions,
right,
making sure they're scalable, maintainable, and meet all the technical requirements.
So they're like the master planners.
Yeah, the ones creating the blueprints.
Got it.
And finally, the functional consultant.
Okay, last one.
They're the bridge between the technical team and the business users.
All right, so they're making sure the solutions being developed are actually meeting the functional needs of the organization.
That's right.
So they're translating between the tech world and the business world.
Exactly. They speak both languages.
Very important role.
It is.
It's incredible how all these administrative roles come together.
It is like a well-coordinated team.
Everyone working towards that common goal.
And that's the beauty of the M.I.N.D framework.
Right.
It recognizes that successful implementation isn't just about the tech itself.
It's about the people, the processes.
Exactly. The whole organization.
Now, as we're talking about all these roles, I'm thinking about our listener out there, taking in all this info about M.I.N.D.
It's a lot.
They might be feeling a bit overwhelmed.
It's understandable.
So it's important to remember that M.I.N.D isn't a set of rigid rules.
No, it's not.
It's a guide, a framework for thinking about how to build your team.
That's it.
And how to approach development in a strategic way.
In a way that makes sense for you.
It's not about finding the perfect match for every role.
No, it's about understanding the principles and adapting them to your own needs.
That's a good point.
It's about finding what works best for you.
It's empowering, really.
It is.
It gives you the flexibility to build a power platform practice that fits your organization.
Exactly, your own unique goals and strengths.
So, common question, where do we even start with all this?
That's a good question.
It can feel like a lot.
It can.
What would you say is a good first step?
Start small.
Okay.
You don't have to do everything at once.
Right, don't boil the ocean.
Exactly.
What's a bite-sized piece we can start with?
Focus on 1 or 2 key areas you want to improve.
Okay.
Maybe it's Dataverse expertise or collaboration between low-code and pro-code developers.
Okay.
Pick a specific project where you can pilot these changes.
Right. So start small, see what works, then build from there.
That's it.
And as we're going through this process, how do we know if it's actually working?
Good question.
What are some signs that M.I.N.D is actually making a difference?
So first, you'll see the quality of your solutions improve.
Okay.
Fewer bugs, faster development, more user-friendly, aligned with business needs.
So it's not just a feeling, it's tangible results.
Exactly. You'll see it in the work.
Okay. What else?
You'll also notice a shift in your team's culture.
Okay.
More collaboration, more knowledge sharing.
Right.
People will be more willing to experiment.
Because they feel like they're part of a team that's really pushing the boundaries.
Exactly. And they're more engaged, more motivated.
So it's about creating that environment where people feel empowered.
That's it, where learning is celebrated.
And
and finally, you'll see a better alignment between your Power Platform work and your overall business goals.
Okay.
Your solutions will be more strategic, more impactful, more tied to what matters to the organization.
So it's not just about building cool tech.
Right.
It's about using that tech to drive real business value.
Exactly, and that's the whole point of M.I.N.D.
To help organizations use the Power Platform to achieve amazing things.
To unlock its full potential.
I love it.
Me too.
It's inspiring to think about what's possible.
It is.
When you have the right framework, the right team, the right mindset.
All of it together.
Now, before we wrap up this part,
okay,
I want to leave our listener with one final thought.
I'm listening.
Think about the impact you want to make.
That's good.
What problems do you want to solve?
Yeah.
What kind of world do you want to create with the Power Platform?
What kind of legacy will you leave?
Let those aspirations guide you as you build your team, develop your skills, and create solutions that truly matter.
Let your passion drive you.
I love that.
And with that, I think it's time to wrap up part 2.
It has been a journey exploring the M.I.N.D framework.
We've covered a lot.
We've gone from the strategic objectives all the way to specific roles.
Low code, pro code, administrative, it's all connected.
And we've talked about how to actually put this knowledge into practice.
So now it's up to you.
Take what you've learned and start building your own Power Platform dream team.
Make it happen.
Welcome back to our deep dive, everybody.
We're back.
We've unpacked so much about this M.I.N.D framework.
Yeah, from those big objectives to all the different roles.
It's been a journey, that's for sure.
It has.
But now let's bring it all together.
Okay.
What does this actually mean for our listener who wants to use M.I.N.D
Right.
on their own team or on their own project?
Well, they have a really powerful tool now.
Okay.
A framework for building a great team that can handle any challenge.
But it's not just about putting people into roles, is it?
No, it's more than that.
It's about understanding those core principles of M.I.N.D.
Yeah, like innovation, adaptability,
specialization, collaboration,
talent development, all of that.
It's about building a culture where those ideas can actually thrive.
Exactly.
So where do we start with that?
Well, I think the first thing is to assess your team's current strengths and weaknesses.
Find those gaps, right?
Yeah, where are the gaps in knowledge?
Where can we improve collaboration?
Exactly.
Once we have that picture, then we can start making a plan.
That's right.
So it's like taking inventory of our toolbox.
Yeah.
Figuring out what we need to add, sharpen, or learn how to use better.
That's a great way to think about it.
And it's an ongoing process.
That is, Power Platform's always evolving.
Always changing.
So your team needs to evolve too.
So we got to embrace learning, encourage people to experiment.
And don't be afraid to adjust your approach.
It's not about reaching some perfect end state, is it?
No, it's about continuous improvement.
Okay, so back to that question of where to start.
Right.
Because it can be a lot to take in.
It can be overwhelming.
What's a good first step?
I always say, start small.
Okay.
Don't try to do everything at once.
Don't boil the ocean. What's a good bite-sized piece we can start with?
Well, maybe focus on just 1 or 2 areas that you really want to improve.
Like what?
Maybe it's dataverse expertise or better collaboration between low-code and pro-code teams.
Okay, so pick a project, pilot those changes.
Exactly. See what happens.
And then we can go from there.
That's it.
So as we're trying these things out, how do we know if it's actually working?
That's the key question.
What are some signs that M.I.N.D is actually making a difference?
All right, so a couple things to look for.
Okay.
First, the quality of your solutions will go up.
Okay.
You'll have fewer bugs, faster development times. Your solutions will be easier to use.
Okay.
And they'll actually meet the needs of the business.
So it's measurable. We can actually see the results.
Exactly. It's not just a feeling.
What else?
You'll also notice a change in the team's culture.
Okay.
More collaboration, people sharing their knowledge more freely.
Right.
People will be more open to trying new things.
More willing to experiment.
Exactly.
And they'll feel like they're part of a team that's doing really cutting-edge work.
That's right, and that's motivating.
It is. It's about creating that sense of empowerment.
Where learning is encouraged.
Okay, so better solutions, better culture. What's the last sign?
The last thing is you'll see a tighter connection between your Power Platform work and the goals of the business.
Okay.
Your solutions will be more strategic.
Yeah.
They'll have a bigger impact.
Because they're actually tied to what matters most to the organization.
Exactly.
It's not just about building cool tech anymore.
Right.
It's about driving real value for the business.
And that's what M.I.N.D is all about.
It's about helping organizations unlock the true potential of Power Platform.
To achieve incredible things.
This has been an amazing conversation.
It has.
I'm so excited about all the possibilities here.
Me too.
It's inspiring to see what can happen.
When you have the right framework.
The right team.
Right.
A right mindset.
But before we go,
I want to leave our listener with one last thought.
Right.
Think about the impact you want to make.
What kind of change do you want to see?
What problems do you want to solve?
What kind of world do you want to build?
Let those questions guide you.
As you build your team.
As you learn new skills.
And create solutions that make a real difference.
It's not just about the technology, it's about the purpose behind it.
That's a great way to put it.
Let your passion fuel your work.
That's what it's all about.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the M.I.N.D framework.
It's been a pleasure.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
But the world of Power Platform, it's vast.
It is.
So keep exploring.
Keep learning.
Keep pushing those boundaries.
Until next time.
Happy building.
Happy building, everyone.